So, hey guys, today we're going to talk about playing lame to win some games. So, well, I don't know how to put it, except this current meta sucks in the sense that the deck diversity is pretty bad, and what all the decks do is kind of same. So, the same thing is that for right now, at least, they're mostly going first decks. And the thing about all these going first decks is, well, they have an insane macro weakness. So if we just macro them, it's unironically GG most of the time against a lot of these decks, unless they hard open macro removal, which, you know, if you were really inclined to do so, you do have only 2 copies of Solemn Judgment because, you know, they semi-limited Solemn. Did I dismantle this yet? I guess we might as well. I'll have to check what I have to dismantle aside from that later. I think maybe there was originals in full as well that I haven't dismantled. I mean, I can if I want the refund, but okay, whatever. We'll think about that later. But all right. So with macro, unless we're really playing on our opponent's turn, there is an insane benefit to macro, and that benefit is called the bro. Even if my deck loses to macro, I can just full combo, and then I can just flip over macro next turn. Yeah. So let's assume I'm playing like, I don't know, Snake Eye something. I'll just like flip over macro after I full combo. I could be playing some form of Fiendsmith or just anything in general. Flip over macro after I do my full combo, whatever that might be. And I've already full comboed. I got my big guys out. You have to deal with them. And then there's just a macro smack dab on the field as well. So even if you were to out, for example, my monsters, depending on exactly what I'm playing, right? I might even have set up follow-up plays from turn 1. And you're just completely cooked. Because you can't out the macro, you can't deal with the macro. Especially not through my end board. So yeah, that's kind of an issue that would probably come up soon if we're just stuck in this meta too long. So yeah, not really sure how I feel about that. And, you know, just putting it out there, Fissure works about the same. Just activate this at the end of the turn, you know? Like after you've done your comboing, or where you don't care about Fissure anymore. You don't even have to be able to play under Fissure. Same thing applying to deck lockdown. Once again, been saying this for ages. You can just slap all of these cards on just an end board. You just have to be fairly efficient with this. Like whatever engine you're playing has to be somewhat efficient, and then you also need your ratios to be decent, I guess, like your hand trap to engine ratio. And then you want to cram in a decent amount of these floods, because, you know, going first, they're kind of just free wins and pretty low effort. So the thing about these floodgates in general is, even if we make minimalistic plays and then flip these over, because we got to play the game at all, we have advantage. This is really noticeable with like deck lockdown. So let's say I am playing Vanquish Soul, right? Vanquish Soul, honestly, plays pretty terrible under deck lockdown. So let's say I do normal Rosin, this gets impermed, and then I just activate deck lockdown after doing like rock, add back Rosin. So in this case, what can you actually do to me after I've activated deck lockdown? The correct answer is nothing, because there's practically 0 decks being played right now that play well under deck lockdown. So yeah, you can't play the game, but guess what? The first person they'll be able to search, it's going to be me. And that's because this gets destroyed during my standby phase if I'm the one activating it. This applies to just about every single deck. So it's essentially like turn skipping your opponent. A little scuffed, but that's what deck lockdown essentially can do. This is like Colossus on crack, I guess. And if we just flip over macro, maybe your deck just can't function at all. And I can just add back Rosin and then start playing with Rosin like a little bit later. We can probably do something like Special Summon Rosin, add interchangeably whatever I need, like a dark or fire, pop, and then hopefully we can peg out the rosin, add it back to the hand so you can't run it over with, and then I'll just normal summon rosin again, build advantage, and hopefully win the game. So yeah, pretty disgusting stuff. And just to go over like the decks real quick, we have Blue Eyes. So if we go off of the Master Duel meta tier list real quick, I'll just list everything that's just on here right now. We have Fiendsmith Control. This absolutely dies to deck lockdown and macro. Like, no questions asked, you need the graveyard to play Fiendsmith. And then deck lockdown prevents you from adding cards, so you can't activate Cracked or Engraver to get them out of the hand. And then you cannot special summon with Requiem because of the deck lockdown. So pretty killer in those ways. And Snake Eye already can't play under deck lockdown, or yeah, so if you just throw Fiendsmith on top of it, nothing changes. Doesn't matter. Blue Eyes, same issues as above. Memento. Memento should be able to play around exactly none of this, honestly. Yeah, macro kind of cooks you. Deck lockdown cooks you. The only thing here is that you might be able to, specifically if you open Darkblade, you might be able to activate Darkblade effect to pop either the lockdown or the macro. So if you're able to do so, then great. If not, then you're cooked. Simple. So moving on, we have Mermail Atlantean. So once again, this deck does a lot of searching. And then also, all of their triggers require you to send to the graveyard. Doesn't work. Branded, deck lockdown, shuts down Branded unbelievably hard. It's just literally unplayable. Fusion deployment, not activatable. The only thing you could do is maybe hard open Branded Fusion to hard summon like a guy and hope for the best there. Sprite, I mean, you can make Zeus. That's about all you can do with Sprite. If we actually slap an extra, an actual end board with the stuff, then no, Sprite just gets fairly cooked. So the macro is more playable than the lockdown, but you dislike being in either situation. Tenpai Dragon. Well, yeah, if you don't hard open macro removal, like deck lockdown and macro cosmos cooks you, especially when there's an end board backing these up as well. So yeah, you're really not doing anything with Tenpai here. Well, unless you hard open like Lightning Storm. Snake Eye Fire King. Well, but with Snake Eye Fire King, you also need the graveyard to do your triggers. So that sucks. And you also need to do your searches, and you also special summon from the deck. So both of these, and then like an actual end board on top of this, yeah, you're getting absolutely cooked. Punk, same thing. Literally every single deck here gets completely cooked. I think the ones that play the best under this stuff, well, not in any particular order, would be like Memento, Branded, and Sprite. They have like some small opportunities to maybe be able to do something with their engine. But aside from that, every single one of these lists absolutely get cooked. And you're just completely screwed under like any of these floods. And the messed up part, of course, is, well, it wouldn't be like all of these decks per se, but yeah, the majority of these decks, I mean, it varies a little bit, but you can play these cards in basically all of those lists. And it's fairly viable. It's just a matter of if you want a deck built around it, or if you don't want to play lame, or if you do want to play lame. So, yeah, this can be pretty game winning and pretty brutal. But the downside, of course, is if you lose the coin flip, you just have some of these in your hand. It's what you would think, but you also still have regular hand trap ratios. So if you're able to stop your opponent's combo and then just drop this, even if you're kind of brick, this stalls for so much time, you know, it's just kind of disgusting. If you're playing a deck that's just like pretty decent and can play under macro, then I don't know. Everything feels kind of cooked. Nothing really comes to like mind super hard right now, but just like macro is absolutely brutal. and it wins games. So yeah, hopefully the meta, like, and the whatever new cards we do end up getting, hopefully they shake up the meta a little bit, because yeah, just getting macroed or playing macro, it's not like in my top 10 favorite things to do in Yu-Gi-Oh, but you know, it is just so unbelievably efficient right now. There's no reason like you shouldn't be dropping shifter to some extent, except for the fact that most of the shifter decks are not like that great. The best one probably being like not in terms of like consistency, just like consistently, I think uh Shtira is probably going to be one of the better macro decks, because you know you do have a built-in one with a Rise Art. A Rise Art's like much easier to out than actual macro though. So yeah, just putting it out there. Every deck like ever runs 3 infinite impermanents, which shuts down a Rise Art. So yeah, no, not much you can do about that. If I was playing, I don't know, let's say Sprite, and then I just drop a macro, flip this over on my opponent's turn, I'd like to see what you do, because if I'm playing Sprite, I can unironically play both macro and deck lockdown. The only downside to deck lockdown is if I were to bring back Sprite Blue on the next turn, I wouldn't be getting a follow-up play here, which I'm not sure I really care about, because I can just sit on a big Zeus for a later turn anyways, and I can just, like, maybe even if I can't beat you in one turn, you're not going to top deck anything, even if you get 2 draws. Under deck lockdown macrocosmos with Sprite negates, that's just not really going to happen, is it? So yeah, the game right now, I mean, the meta isn't at this point, and this is definitely not what people are doing yet, but the possibility is always kind of around. So yeah, not feeling great about the current meta in general, and I don't think I would really want to get macroed. So yeah, for the time being, I'll just play something that's like kind of macro safe, like maybe Spray, I guess, would be fine for my ladder deck. Just anything that's fine under macro, actually. Deck lockdown is a bit hard to deal with, so probably won't be trying to play around that. But this card's actually so phenomenal, it's crazy. It shuts down literally every single tiered list right now, like without exception. I mean, some decks have like some kind of play like Zeus play, which is nice, I guess. But for the most part, you'll have no play, or a terrible play, or a play that doesn't work because your opponent has what's called an end board. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.